construction industry is only one stakeholder in the sustainable built environment. Ron Wakefield is director of CIB, the International Council for Research and Innovation in Building and Construction, Dean, School of Property, Construction and Project Management at RMIT, Global University of Technology and Design, and a member of the Beyond 2020 International Advisory Board. You are engaged with the construction industry in Australia, Asia, and the United States. From your perspective, what is happening within the construction industry to transform its practice to meet the UN SDGs? And what are the major challenges?
I think that there's a lot of work going on trying to, meet those goals, but there are a lot of challenges for the industry in all of those markets. Particularly, I think the ones that are facing us here in Australia are things like decent work, gender equity, and health and well-being of the workforce. So we've got a lot of issues around worker health and safety, even in Australia, and those issues are exacerbated in Asia and the USA. Those things are really problems that the industry's got in meeting those sustainable development goals. The other things that I'm really interested in is and you understand this from our school's perspective, is the idea of clean, affordable energy and how much we can contribute to carbon reduction by changing the way we power our built environment. So that's something we're really, trying to focus on here in Australia. There's a lot of work also on sustainable cities, but they're the things that I think are most pressing.
Can you give us some examples of positive change and how these have been achieved? Construction processes, types of development, materials, technological change?
So I think the things that I see most change in is in the efforts around climate change and embodied energy improvements in the construction industry. That's looked at new materials, circularity in the materials that we use, and the ideas around and using that to try and create affordable housing, both from a cost perspective but also from an operational perspective. So things like heating and cooling costs in existing housing, trying to reduce the effect that that's having. And that's been quite a substantial technological change in the Australian construction industry. We've moved to things like, for large public buildings, energy performance contracting, where we're reducing the energy use of those buildings while still also trying to improve the indoor environment for people working in those buildings. Our university's been at the forefront of that work here in Melbourne, and I'm very proud of what we've done in that space. We've also worked around education of professionals in moving them into a situation where they're able to, contribute to greening and better energy performance of existing building stock as well as new building stock. And I think it's a big contribution that we can make to the Sustainable Development Goals.
At Beyond 2020, we believe that the built environment can contribute significantly to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. But this goes beyond the construction industry. Who else would you like to invite to the conference, and why should they come?
I think we could do, from my perspective, the things that contribute to the industry and the success of our efforts are things like the energy industry should be a major participant in the conference in terms of looking at local grid production, environmentally friendly ways of generating electricity. I'm also really interested in the hydrogen economy and how we could use that. That's particularly important in the Australian context because we have potentially a really good source of solar energy that we could use to produce hydrogen that could then work in our existing energy reticulation systems to power our economy, particularly our built environment. So that's one industry I think should be involved. The other thing I'm really interested in is also the supply chain of production components for construction, and that's an industry that probably could do with a lot better engagement in terms of sustainable built environment. So engaging our supply chain people, the people that supply materials, particularly concrete, steel industries, and also the people who provide consumables and industrial equipment to the process. So the HVAC manufacturers, the appliance manufacturers as well, that are very important in the performance of the building as an overall system. The other people that I think are often left out of this type of conference is actual building users, and also the people who finance and develop buildings. It's really important to engage them in our efforts around a more sustainable industry, because I think if the people financing built developments understand that they've got a real place to play in this around all of the sustainable development goals. So we've tried to work a lot with client bodies around them setting up their procurement strategy to ensure that you get everyone in the supply chain engaging in that whole sustainable approach to built environment.